Let's cut the bullshit. We've got straight up marketing advice. You should use it.
Just drop the jargon.
Adam and Simon's Bullshit Busters.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Adam and Simon Bullshit Busters. I'm Simon Batchelor.
I am Adam Bastock.
And this week we are going to be talking about how you can get better clients by doubling your prices. So Adam, do you want to start off and sort of talk a little bit about some of the problems that people experience when they are attracting new clients?
Yeah, so I think this is probably quite a common problem that anyone in any service-based business has had. I think this is not just services like digital marketing. I think even, tradesmen might have similar issues where if you are basically offering if you're basing your pricing around time, there is a very fixed limit of what you can do in a week, and therefore you are naturally capping the amount that you can earn. What you want to try and do, which we'll go on to later, is to change that up a little bit and think about how you're pricing differently to ensure that you're attracting a higher quality of customer, essentially, who are more willing to they understand your value better, and that you're not just trapped in that justification of what you do to people all the time. So as an example for myself, I do find that some customers, they might think that SEO can be bought for £99 a month and that's how much it costs. And therefore, if I was to do that, there is only so many £99 packages I can sell and deliver in time. Whereas if I change that to be, £1,000 per month or projects, there's much more value that I can give for that, and it might not necessarily take much more time for me to do it.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's changing how you think about it, not to be time-based, but to be value-based, and the fact that I can give far more value to those customers, and therefore I need less customers to earn the same amount of money.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. And I think when a lot of businesses start off, obviously working at how much time something takes, working at how much you'd like to be paid for that time, and then charging that amount of money is a good place to start with a price. However, once you get more than a handful of clients, you quickly realise that actually that doesn't add up. So what you need to do is decouple your time from the value you're delivering, because the value that you are delivering to the customer isn't linked to the amount of time it takes you to do it. So a favourite story of mine is the squeaky floorboard story. So an imaginary person, they've got a squeaky floorboard, has been driving them nuts. They can't seem to figure it out. Every time they walk across the floor, it's squeaking. So they call a handyman out, and the handyman pops around and he takes one look at the floor and he says, okay, it's going to be £60 to fix the floor. And the person goes, oh, great. Okay, yeah, sure. Here's the £60. Brilliant. So the person who is the expert walks over, gets a tiny little wooden wedge out, just goes bang in the floor. That sands it down, sorted. It takes him 10 seconds to fix. The person who's just paid them £60 goes, oh my word, why is this worth £60? And of course, the moral of the story there is the guy replies and just says, well, it was £3 for the nail, £7 for the use of the hammer, and £50 for the 20 years it took me to work out where to hammer the wedge. And that's essentially what it is. The value you delivered was, well, you got your floorboard stopped squeaking. All of my experience made that take 10 seconds. When I started out, that might have taken me an hour to work out all of that. And I thought I would have had to charge you an hour. But because you're buying someone with experience, you're buying the experience, not the time. So as soon as you can decouple that, you can then start to think about how you price differently.
I think that's a very good story. And a similar one that I've heard is around kind of mechanics, and that if you've got a broken car and you go in to take it to the garage, the value of that being fixed in an hour is far greater than it taking 2 days for it to be fixed, because for those 2 days you're without a car. Whereas if a mechanic can fix it really quickly, that's got higher value to it, because you can start using the car more, and that is the value that you're getting back from it. So I think it is that idea of the price isn't really the problem, it's more the value that you're placing on the problem and
Yes.
how much it is to make that go away.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think one of the things when you charge per hour is that you are then on a sliding scale. So you've got people doing sort of fairly repetitive jobs that are on the lower end of the wage spectrum at the sort of £8.50, £9, £10, £11, £12 an hour end of the market. Then you've got people who are generally typically freelancers charging anything between, I'd say, 30 and 80 £300 an hour, typically, it'd be a freelance charge. And then you've got your solicitors of the world who are charging £300 to £900 an hour based on who knows what. But the reason is if I say to you, I'm £100 an hour, well, I'm not quite as expensive as a solicitor, but I'm more than a mechanic. That's essentially where I sit. So instantly someone is saying, okay, is Simon worth that value? Is he worth more than a mechanic to me? Is he worth less than a solicitor? I thought he was more like a solicitor, so £100 an hour seems quite cheap. You see what I mean? It's you instantly are comparable to someone else who's charging by the hour. So I think what we're saying in this episode is that actually, if you're stuck swapping your time for money, the one way you can get out of it, and this is the really weird thing, is to double your prices. So the idea of doubling your prices is that you lose half your clients, which puts you back where you started. That's the worst case scenario. If you doubled your prices and half your clients left, we wouldn't be earning any less, right?
Yeah, but you've got more time available.
Exactly. And in that time, you could be networking. You could be posting on LinkedIn. You could be making all that content you say you don't have time to make. You could be sending those emails you don't have time to send. You could be making the phone calls you don't have time to make. Winning new customers who are willing to pay the price, your new price, essentially. So I think there's like a double benefit to it because A, it disconnects you from the time for money, and B, it also removes you from that comparison ladder or scale of pricing.
I think that's such a vital thing. And when we first discussed this and you first explained that idea to me, well, if you double your prices, you lose half your customers, but you're exactly where you are, but you've suddenly gained twice the amount of time. I was like, wow, okay, that is such a simple concept that really opens up the idea. And immediately, I didn't double my prices, but I'm certainly much more conscious about not trying to take on clients that are lower end. Because I'm like, well, they're probably still going to take up the same amount of time as someone who's slightly more is, because the process that I'm going through is probably fairly similar. And therefore, they are just taking... There's an opportunity cost, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, to taking on the lower end clients, because if I'm taking on someone who's £400 a month, that might be taking up the space that for someone that might be £2,000 a month, or however it might be, where that delivery might be a similar amount of time commitment to it. So it's been so helpful just to think about it that way and go, well, worst case scenario is I keep my clients, I keep the same amount of money, but I double my time. Okay, great. That's
And even if you put your prices up by 50%, that's still going to help. It doesn't have to be doubling. Doubling is, it's just it's an easy math to do in your head, isn't it? And ideally, you should be able to double it. So the common instant kickback I get to that is, but why would my clients pay twice as much? Yeah. So that is a useful thought experiment to do. There is what I read in a book recently, which is the £25,000 offer experiment. So if you imagine that someone's going to pay you £25,000 to do whatever it is you currently do for whatever the rate it is. So if you offer, let's say, a 6-week coaching program and you've got 6 sessions, I'm going to pay you 25 grand for that, regardless of what I currently pay. Or if you've got a package that you're charging 1,500 quid for, I'm now going to pay you 25 grand. What would you put in that package? What would be the best you could deliver for £25,000? And you build this fantasy product. And that fantasy product, you're never actually going to deliver it, but you just think, okay, if someone was going to pay me 25 grand, who would I bring in to mentor? Like, would I send them a copy of this book? Would I give them a YouTube series to watch that I've made? Would I make like 6 videos that's in like a customer portal? Would I, give them some custom worksheets? Would I do this? All of the things you're going to do in that £25,000 offer. Obviously, if it's like, I'd get them on the phone with Bill Gates for half an hour or something, that might not be possible. But what you then do is you take that fantasy offer and you say, right, well, if I was to double my prices, which bit of that fantasy offer could I deliver? Yeah. And because you've detached yourself from cost, because money is no object, you've got this thing at the top, you're just like, wow, I could do this. And you're like, well, actually, if I did half of that, I could justify charging double the price because people are getting way more value.
It's a really good way of thinking about it. And I think it's that, money is no object, and let your imagination run free. It really starts flagging up the fact that, value is what people are paying for, not time. Which I know is exactly why you gave that example, but it is such a good experiment of going, well, yes, I would pay more money to go and have a conversation with Bill Gates because
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, there probably are reasons why you wouldn't, but still, you get the idea
Yeah.
of whoever that celebrity might be, or have that person of influence. So, I think what would your kind of top tip be for this then? Do you think is it as simple as thinking about doubling your prices and just firing your the bottom half of your client base? Is it?
Well, I would say if you're looking to get better clients, you need to look at what would make your clients come. What would make better clients come to you. Now,
Yes. Okay.
if you are currently charging by the hour, you're never going to get past where you are now. It's just the harsh truth of it, really. What we need to do is do the fantasy offer exercise. Work out, okay, if someone's going to pay me £25,000 to do what I do, what would I deliver? You turn that into an amazing offer, and then you work out, okay, well, if I doubled my prices, or even if it isn't, let's say, doubling your prices, maybe you add 50% to it, but rather than buying 2 sessions, you turn it into 6, and you get a video thing, and you get an app, and you get a book, and you get something else, and you just value stack all of the stuff you could add onto that offer, and you make this amazing offer. Then all of a sudden, if you're, let's say, a personal trainer, you're no longer training people by the hour. It's like, well, I run a 6-week program, and this is what we do, and this is how it works, and then you can't compare you to someone else who's £35 an hour.
Yeah.
Because you're not on the same, you're not even in the same column of comparison.
And I think it also gives you a bit of flexibility to deliver that value. Like if you are doing it in a monthly package type thing, you can then change that up more easily than if you are doing it based on hour. It's like, well, actually, that's going to take more time. I need to go to them and ask them permission to pay me more money to deliver more hours of work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got it on a package or a retainer or however it's built out, you've got more flexibility there to change how much value you're delivering, which I think is a good thing. Like with the personal trainer example, is that you might.
But I think
get
the other
more
thing is
out of
that people will only pay for the value they can see, right?
Yeah.
So if people can't recognise and empathise with the value that you are saying you deliver, then they're just going to say, yeah, but how much is it per hour? Because anybody who wants to pay you by the hour doesn't see any value you're delivering. You're just an hourly commodity. It's like, well, basically, if you won't do this, I can find someone else who will, because it's just an hourly thing. Whereas if it's like, oh, okay, so you get me to this outcome, great. Okay, so when I work with you for this product, I get this. Fine. Now I can associate value with that. And that's where that doubling the price comes in. So this is obviously a huge topic, and it varies massively depending on your market. But hopefully what this has done is got you thinking about how you're charging, what you're charging for, and how you're packaging all up together. If you want some more guidance on that, I've written quite a few blogs on my website. I'll put a link to that below this video, so you can check that out. I've written quite a few different things about how to price and make offers and things like that, so you can check those blogs out for a bit more detail. And as always, you can connect with us in our LinkedIn group, but do leave us a comment if this has got you thinking, or you do have any thoughts about putting your prices up. Do leave us a comment below. We'd really love to hear what you have got to say. So thanks very much for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Bye.
Just drop the